Alongside Brent Hubbs, I'm Austin Price for the 2-minute drill on this Tuesday. Got to meet with three players today: Brandon Kennedy, Henry To'oTo'o, and of course, the talented running back Eric Gray. Henry made it clear he's ready to hit somebody that's not wearing orange.
Well, and I tell you what, I mean, that guy is so polished, it's ridiculous. Just how conversational, how unscripted, unrehearsed, genuine that Henry comes across. It's no surprise that he's become such a leader on this team. Interesting him talking about the barbecues he was having with the young players, the younger linebackers, to try to develop the chemistry there. Think about this with Henry, Austin. A year ago, they asked him to run the defense, and he had been on campus since June. And now he's going to run the defense with a year of experience. It's hard to imagine that this defense is not much further along than they were this time a year ago when they were trying to figure out ways to line up. Excited to see Henry play. Really impressed with him. And he made it very clear, yes, you're right. He's ready to play some football.
What stood out from hearing Brandon Kennedy speak today? He was Jimmy Himes asked him about, the chance to be one of the first seventh-year seniors in the history of college football. He didn't say, no, I wouldn't come back. Just say we'd cross that bridge when we get to it. But earlier in the press conference did say that this was going to be his last year.
Yeah, I don't think anybody anticipates him coming back at this point. I think the thing about Brandon that was a little bit surprising to me, and maybe it was a little bit of coach speak because he's got some of that in him, Austin, but the fact that, he feels like they have good chemistry despite the fact that they've had so many different lineups in there, guys playing different positions, guys in and out because of the COVID stuff. Obviously, he's missed some practice time. Trey Smith's missed some practice time by design, just kind of built in off days in there. I'm going to be really curious to see if this unit has that cohesiveness that he anticipates and he expects. I think the other thing that stood out from Brandon Kennedy, clearly seems like he's much more comfortable in this offense and has a better understanding of everything that Jim Chaney wants. And we know a year ago how much time Jim Chaney spent just preaching on being more physical, and it was about physical play more than it was about scheme or anything else. I think this unit has got to the point now where it's much more about scheme than it was early in the year last year.
Speaking of Jim Chaney, Eric Gray talked about the fact that, having both he and Ty Chandler on the field at times could be a benefit for Tennessee. He's talked before about just understanding a year ago what it took to hit the hole and to hit open space when it closes up so fast in this league compared to high school. He seems like a guy that, has, kind of transitioned well from the end of last year boom to what he hopes is a more consistent 2020 season.
Well, I think the thing that anybody who's ever covered Eric Gray, followed him in high school, ever dealt with him, knows how driven of an individual he is. That's a guy who wants to be successful in whatever he does. He was successful in the classroom in high school, successful in college, and obviously worked through some struggles on the field last year, but found great success at the end of the year. Austin, I don't want to go down this road of, Alvin Kamara and making those comparisons because that's not fair to Eric Gray. But you do wonder if Jim Chaney doesn't look at Eric Gray and say, hey, we can do some Kamara-like things with him in the passing game, similar to what the Saints are doing. It's not to say Gray's not going to get it between the tackles. Kamara does for the Saints as well. But you wonder if Jim Chaney doesn't really evolve that package with Eric Gray into the passing game in the slot, not just the screen game, but arrow routes, out routes, third down stuff, and really uses him in those ways a good bit this year, particularly without a proven commodity at the tight end position. So I'm curious to see those two guys on the field together. I'm curious to see how much Jim Chaney feels like he can move Eric Gray around and use him in different ways.
15 seconds and we're out the door. Biggest takeaway from the unofficial depth chart, of course, I said it's a bunch of misdirection type stuff, but what's your overall takeaways?
On Saturday, it's meaningless. That's my takeaway from it. There's not a freshman on the two deep, Austin. Come on. I get it. We'll play. Everybody plays the game, but come on. That thing, I get it's a veteran team, but you and I both know we're going to see a lot of freshmen. We're going to see a lot of bodies. And what the two deep at wide receiver looks like on that sheet of paper ain't going to be what the two deep looks like on Saturday on the playing field, in my opinion.
I got to say, Hubbs, after a decade of working with you, I think I'm finally starting to rub off. You're ripping papers up, cutting jokes. You're cutting jokes during the Monday night chat about the fact, do you think Peyton Manning will actually get voted in to the Hall of Fame? Look at you.
Maybe I'm just tired. Or maybe I've spent too much time with you. I don't know.
For Brent Hubbs, I'm Austin Price for the 2-Minute Drill.